Hi, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I have the beautiful SouKeyna with me. Keep watching to learn this graphic editorial look. So for skin prep, I'm gonna be starting off with the CEO Glow Vitamin C and Turmeric Face Oil, and I've just got about 2 drops right here on my palette. I'm just gonna go in and apply this with my KVD brush. This is number 10. And I'm just starting off by kind of pushing this into the skin, bringing it down to the neck and décolleté. And we're just gonna let this kind of sink and sit on the skin while we do eye makeup. This is just going to give us maximum hydration. So by the time that we get to the foundation, it'll be nice and smooth and the skin will be prepped.
I love the feel of this brush.
It's so soft, right?
It's so soft. It feels like plush.
For lip prep, I'm gonna be going in with my Buxom Cosmetics Big O Lip Balm. This has a nice pinky hue to it and it reacts to the natural pH level in your lips to give you the most natural kind of rosy lip. Just gonna work this into her lips using a brush. I always like to let this sit while I'm doing eye makeup and skin, so by the time that I get to the lips, they'll be nice and smooth, hydrated, and ready for the lip application. To base her eyes, I'm gonna be using the MAC Cosmetics Dark Concealer Palette. And I'm mainly gonna be going in with the shade NW55. Starting along the lash line, and I'm just gonna be working my way up to right underneath the brow. And then you can also go in with a medium-sized beauty blender to just kind of push this into the eye area to make sure that it's nice and blown out. I used a little bit of NW45, but mainly NW55. So I'm basically just layering it up and making sure that this area is nice and opaque. And then we're gonna set with a little bit of translucent powder. To set the eyes, I'm gonna be using my Danessa Myricks Evolution Powder in the shade 05. This is basically a perfect base to go in and just set that area. And it just makes it look like skin. Yay! So for this monochromatic graphic editorial eye, I'm gonna start off by just sketching out the shape first in the crease. We're basically just going to create a line that is a bit contoured in the inner corner of the eye, and I'm gonna be using a MAC 263 brush just to kind of create that shape. And then I'm gonna be using some eyeshadows by Cosette. We're gonna be creating more of a purple violet story. The first shade that I'm gonna be going in with is Violacious by Cosette. For me, it's a lot easier to go in with an eyeshadow first just to kind of create that graphic line. And then we can go over it with more of like an eyeliner, some kind of paint, just to make it really rich. Just making small strokes little by little. We're basically bringing this line right in the middle of her brow. So it's a bit higher than her crease, so that way it shows more. And if you have more of a mono lid, I would definitely bring this line even higher. Sometimes you just wanna fake the crease, you gotta cheat it, bring it up higher. Carving out this line with eyeshadow also allows me to correct it easier too. Sometimes it can be tricky to make these lines twins. Eyeshadow is definitely a bit more forgiving. Okay, so SouKeyna and I met on set of a shoot a couple months back, and we did some major looks. I fell in love with this woman, her energy, her vibe, and obviously her beauty.
Likewise.
And I can't wait for those photos to come out.
Honestly.
I can't wait. We did like 6 looks.
Yeah.
Like we did something crazy.
In like one day.
Yeah. A lot of graphic eyes too. Yeah. I feel like when I work with you, you make me want to do graphic eyes, color. She just has a beautiful skin tone. I just see so much color on her. So we always want to play and just have fun.
And I love color too. So.
Well, you wear it well.
Thank you.
So anytime that I've created a graphic type of eye, I always step back, kind of analyze the look, make sure that it's even on both sides. Then from there, we can see what we need to tweak. So I'm basically just bringing this inner part of this line into a point, just to elongate the eyes. And using the same brush, I'm just gonna create more depth and definition right underneath this line. Going in with the darkest shade, this is Vision by Cosette. I'm gonna be using a MAC 214 brush. I'm just basically going to pack this on right underneath this line and blend this in a downward direction. This brush is really nice and dense, so you can definitely build and pack on the color, and it creates a really opaque looking texture.
There's so much makeup terminology.
Right? You're gonna learn
Color
so
payoff.
much. Color payoff, definition. And I'm basically just mixing these two shades from Cosette right here. So whenever you push it into the skin, it just builds up the color payoff. And when you sweep kind of in a downward direction or back and forth, it helps to blend and sheer it out. So doing a combination of both is really helpful. Out of any bright color that you could wear, what's your favorite? Like, what do you feel the best in?
For makeup, maybe pink.
Pink's a good one, like
Pink.
hot pink, like
Hot pink,
like her,
yes.
like her shirt.
Either hot pink or red.
Oh, it's a
But
good
like
one. Red looks
an
really
orange
cool.
red.
Yes, like
Yeah.
a warm red.
Yeah, I love these colors.
And those
for
blush, yeah,
Yes.
we're always
We're
in
always in
sync,
sync.
guys.
I love it.
For her lid, I'm gonna be going in with something a little bit more nude. So I'm gonna be taking this MAC Cosmetics Mineralized Skin Finish in this shade Dark Deepest. And we're gonna use this as an eyeshadow. Just applying this with a blending brush. This one is a MAC 217. And I'm just patting this onto the lid area. This is basically gonna set the lid even more. I'm basically just blending this right up to where the purple lays. So that way it's nice and ombre. And then I'm gonna go on top with my MAC Studio Fix powder in the shade NW58. And then I'm gonna lightly go right on top of this. It's just gonna lock it in. And now I'm just going back in with the same shades from Cosette, those purple tones, just to make it pop even more. So in the inner corner of her eyes, I'm gonna be using this shade called Electric Amethyst by Dominique Cosmetics. This is the Celestial Storm eyeshadow palette. So I'm using a more tapered brush. This one's kind of in the shape of a pencil, so it's by Morphe. And I'm just pushing this into the inner corner of her eye and dragging it into an inward direction. To create a thin wing liner, I'm gonna start off by creating a line on each eye. So I'm gonna go to one eye first, create a line in an upward, outward direction. And then I'm gonna go to the other eye and do the exact same thing. Always like to step back, look at it, make sure that both of these lines are even, because that's gonna be the base to creating a perfect wing liner that is symmetrical. Then I'm gonna use my brush, starting from the outer corner, and I want this line to go from thick to thin. So really slowly, I'm gonna start working my way towards the inner corner of her eye. And sometimes you need to use the brush in different directions to make sure that that line is straight. You really just have to do what works for you and take it nice and slow. We're gonna take a little break from the eyes and do skin. So for skin prep, I'm gonna go back to that. I'm gonna be using my Laura Mercier Foundation Hydrating Primer. This is an all-time favorite in my kit. It's just gonna keep the skin nice and smooth, helps to minimize pores, and it also gives the foundation a nice long wear. And just applying it with that same brush by KV Beauty. Really working this in to the T-zone, the bridge of the nose, right above the brows, and around the chin and mouth area. For foundation, this is definitely an OG foundation of mine. It's a favorite. And this is the shade Ebony. It's by William Tuttle. And me and SouKeyna actually bonded over this foundation on set, because we feel like if you know about this foundation, you're an OG.
Because
Seriously.
she knew about this, that's why I trusted her, like, with my life until...
From there, we were like, okay, this is
I
gonna
was
work
like,
out.
okay, we make sense.
Yeah.
We're cooperating.
Two peas in a pod, basically.
On the same page. Yeah.
I actually started out my career, I feel like, using this foundation, and I still use it in my kit, like to contour. Amazing. I mean, you can do anything with it. You can use it for concealer, foundation, to contour, but I'm basically just starting off by applying this right underneath her jawline, bringing it down to the neck just a little bit. You guys can see it's a perfect match for her skin tone. Again, the shade Ebony. It's so beautiful and rich, and it just kind of glides on the skin. It's really nice and creamy, and it gives such a beautiful glow. And the brush that I'm using is by MAC. This is a duo fiber brush, so it helps to kind of just keep the skin nice and natural. For concealer, I'm mainly gonna be using the shade 3. This is my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, but I might use a little bit of shade 2 as well. So we're gonna be mixing both of these. So starting off with the shade 3, I'm just gonna bring this kind of right underneath her eyes. A little goes such a long way. You don't need a lot of this product. And now I'm gonna be going in with shade 2, just to brighten. And I feel like a combination of both is like the perfect match.
This is something very hard to master.
It is.
For some of them, it's been an issue.
I feel like skin can be really hard for people. It can, but you know, if you're a makeup artist, you should be able to do all skin tones. That's something that's always been really important to me.
For sure.
I'm just going in with a beauty blender just to really work and push this into the skin. Always using a combination of both with my brush and my beauty blender. And the brush that I'm using is the Conceal brush by Marc Jacobs. So mixing the two shades together, 3 and 2, I'm gonna bring this down the center of her nose and also in the middle of the forehead, just to bring back some light. And then right above the lips. Just a half.
This is so beautiful. Oh my
so
goodness.
So good. She's a glowing queen.
I can't wait.
It's so good. So for cream contour, I'm gonna be going in with my Fenty Beauty cream in the shade Toffee Tease. This is a perfect shade for her skin tone. We've already used this on set before and we loved the undertone. So I'm gonna use it again today.
And I bought it right after.
Again, add to cart. Cha-ching. So I'm gonna use the top of her ear as a guide. She has the most beautiful bone structure, so we can clearly see where I need to apply the contour. I honestly don't even need to, but it will add just a little bit more dimension onto the skin. So for those of you at home that like struggle with your contour, take your brush, put it at the top of your ear and use that as a guide and kind of angle this into the apples of your cheeks. So smile for me a little bit. And that's exactly the direction that you kind of want to bring this into. So just a quick little tip on how to contour. And a little goes such a long way. You don't need a lot of this product. And as soon as you start to put that contour on, you can really see how the highlight just kind of bounces off of it. And you get some really nice dimension on the skin. I'm just kind of shading around the hairline as well. So bringing this into the temples, really focusing on this exterior line here, and then just bringing it a little bit underneath the jaw. And just following the perimeter of the face, starting in the hairline and then working in a downward direction, kind of sweeping back and forth. Using a really small flat synthetic brush, I'm just gonna take my Toffee Tease cream bronzer and bring it on the sides of the nose just to contour a little bit. And then you can go in with that small beauty blender again and just kind of tap right on top of those two lines on the sides of the nose, pinching it, holding it a little bit more narrow, so that way you can get into the inner corner of this contour here, going into the brow hair. Now just going back with my NARS concealer in the shade 3, just to bring back some light down the bridge of the nose. And using my small beauty blender again, just to tap right on top. So now we just need to go in and set her skin. So I'm gonna be mixing 2 powders. I'm mainly gonna be using the number 5 in my Evolution powder, but I also have 4.5 with me as well. So mainly 5, a little bit of 4.5. This is gonna be a perfect mixture for her skin.
Balance.
It's all about balance.
All about balance.
You know? Go in with my Beauty Blender first just to make sure it's nice and pushed into the skin and there's no creasing. Always do this right before. And then I've just mixed the 2 shades together and I'm just pushing this right underneath the eye area just to set it. We want to mattify in the T-zone. So I'm just sweeping this in a downward direction, and under the eye I kind of like to stipple it in just to build up the coverage to make sure it's nice and set. And then this is my Fenty 180. It's actually a concealer brush, but I love to use it to set the under eyes. And same thing on this side, just pushing it right underneath the eye area just to build up the coverage, and then bringing it down into this sweeping motion. So that way it's kind of overlapping the contour. And my touch is really soft. Yes. I feel like the softer the better. So that way it just kind of looks really natural, and you just use less product that way. And I always like to make sure that the T-zone is nice and mattified so we get a glow from the outsides of the face. But from the front, it looks nice and matte. I'm gonna go in with this pink puff, and I've kind of just knocked off the excess off of my wrist. I'm gonna go in and really push this into the skin even more, just to set. I'm basically just powdering the brow area to make this nice and matte, so when we go in with the brow products, they stick really well to her skin. So for contour, I'm gonna go back in and just kind of set the cream contour just a little bit. So I'm gonna be using my MAC NW58 powder. This is a Studio Fix powder. And the brush that I'm using is by SouKeyna, it's 2.1. So I'm really lightly just gonna go in and start working this into the same areas that I've already applied the cream contour. Love this technique, going on top of the cream with the powder, because it just sets it and you'll have an all-day wear. So just going right over this area here, right on the tops of the cheeks. And then underneath the jawline. So same product to contour the nose. I'm just gonna use a more tapered brush. Basically just making 2 lines on the sides of the nose. But whenever I do this, I'm really mindful of my placement. The further out you bring it, it'll actually make the nose do the opposite. It'll make the nose look wider. So we want to keep the nose narrow. So I always keep it as close to the bridge as possible. Just going really slowly and then bringing this up into the brow hair. And that's actually going to smoke out the inner corner of her eyes and just kind of make it a bit more sultry, creating this inner contour that goes into the brows. I'm gonna go in and highlight the bridge of her nose with my Danessa Myricks highlighting palette. This one is called Lightwork. It's a really beautiful palette. And I'm gonna be using the shade Chocolate Milk. These are stunning highlighters and they just kind of melt into the skin. And Chocolate Milk is perfect for her skin tone. So I'm gonna be using a more tapered brush and just bringing this down the bridge of the nose. And then you can always go back in and kind of blend it out with your finger and just warm it up with your own body heat, and it just kind of melts it in. For blush, I'm gonna be using this one by Hank & Henry. It is a cream blush, one of my favorites. The shade is Mama Merlot. So using an angled brush, this one is 1.5 by SouKeyna, I'm gonna have you smile. And I'm just gonna apply this on the tops of her cheeks and also the apples of her cheeks as well.
I love blush.
It's the best. I feel like it just brings that warmth into the skin, and I was kind of playing off of your top too. I wanted to bring some like fuchsia, this Merlot tone is like so perfect just to kind of tie it all together. And a little goes a long way, but I really do love to build this color up. So don't be afraid to really stipple it, to build it up so you can get maximum coverage and color payoff. And I like to bring it around the sides of the face as well, just to add some beautiful warmth. I'm gonna use a more tapered brush. This one is by Giorgio Armani, but it does not have a number on it from what I know. And I'm gonna go back into my Cosette palette here and mix these two shadows together. Always tapping off that excess fallout since we already have her skin done. And just getting right underneath her lash line. These are some of my favorite eyeshadows to use. They're actually developed by a makeup artist. I feel like anytime a makeup artist comes out with something, it's usually pretty good. These are very pigmented. So for brows, I'm gonna be using my Anastasia Beverly Hills Granite Brow Definer. Love this one because it has a spoolie on one side, so we'll be able to brush all the product through. So I went ahead and brushed her brows in an upward direction first. I'm basically just going to follow the natural shape that she has, but we're gonna make it a little more pronounced. So just starting at the top of her brow, I'm just gonna create a line right on top. And I'm basically creating strokes of hair in the direction that her brow hair grows. And I'm following her natural arch and then bringing this down here. And then just connecting the arch here. I feel like brows make such a difference too. They really frame the face.
I was just about to say that, like the exact words.
Create like a perfect frame for the face. Sometimes I start with the brows or sometimes I do it at the end. I don't know, I feel like it's just a feel thing for me. It depends like on the look, what I'm going for.
For sure.
And then just brushing in the direction that I've placed the product. I feel like if you brush too high, you'll get product up here. So you wanna have really small movements. Brushing the hair up definitely lifts the face and it just gives a more youthful look. As I get in towards the inner part of the brow, I'm just using a really soft hand, even softer than what I was using in the arch, just because we want it to look really smooth and just kind of faded. To set her brows, I'm going to be using my Clear Brow Gel by Anastasia Beverly Hills. Just brushing in an upward direction just to lock in the product and give a nice hold. For mascara, I'll be using my Buxom Extrovert Mascara just to get really nice, thick, and full lashes. So I'm just gonna hold my thumb here so that way if she blinks, I'll catch it. But I'm just starting from the base and just kind of twirling the wand just to lock in the curl. She already has beautiful curled lashes. I didn't even curl them at all. What a dream. That never happens. Super lucky. So I'm just coating it with a nice layer of mascara. I want to keep this look on the more of a editorial side. So I think by doing just mascara, we'll keep it a bit more editorial, but of course you could still do individual lashes. You could do a strip lash. It really just depends on what kind of look you're going for, and you have to do what works best for you. Using what's left over, look up for me. I'm just gonna apply this on the bottom lashes. For highlighter, I'm gonna be using my Danessa Myricks Dew Balm Highlighter. This is one of my favorites. It's literally just called Dew Wet Balm, and the shade is Rose Water, which is perfect for your skin tone. And honestly, I've used this on all skin tones. I've used this on myself, even women that are even more fair, and it's really beautiful. I'm basically just going to apply it on the high points of the face. She's already glowing. I feel like this is just gonna make her glow even more. So I have some on the back of my hand, and I'm just gonna pinch my Beauty Blender and hold it nice and tight. I'll have you look up for me. I'm just gonna push this on the tops of the cheeks, kind of overlapping it into the blush, and then bringing it around to the sides of the face. Never in the center, but on the sides. You can put a little bit on the chin, off-centered, so then when you pose from different angles, you have this nice glow going through the side of the face. So for lip, I'm gonna be going in with this lip liner from House Laboratories in the shade Shank, and it is such a rich, deep berry tone. I have it right here. And I'm just gonna start off by following the natural shape of her lips because they are perfect. It's really important just to keep it in the lip line. And I'm just gonna build this up so we can see how rich the color is. And I'm filling in the corners. I'm just kind of shading a bit. And this lip liner is really smooth. It's actually a demi matte, so I feel like it kind of gives more of like a satin finish to it. I'm just following the shape of her lips and then shading in the corners on the tops and the bottom. And then just filling in the corners, definitely doing some shading just to contour the lips a bit. And then I'm gonna go in with a lip brush and just kind of blend it all out. So as you guys can see, we definitely went for more of a monochromatic type of vibe, matching the blush, the eyes, and the lips. And then just smoothing out this lip line here. For lipstick, I'm gonna be using my KKW lipstick in the shade 90s Vogue. And the brush that I'm using is by Charlotte Tilbury. It's her lip brush. And this is a really beautiful berry shade, matte texture. And I'm just starting in the center of the lips and kind of working my way to the outer edges of the lip liner, creating a really beautiful ombre. And then going back again with my lip liner. So this completes today's look. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. And when you create this makeup, tag me on Instagram because I'll be picking 9 accounts to feature on my IG this week. And as always, like and subscribe if you found this video helpful, and I'll see you guys next week.
When you love yourself, you glow from the inside. You attract people who love, respect, and appreciate your energy. Everything starts with and how you feel about yourself. Start feeling worthy, valuable, and deserving of receiving the best life has to offer.